From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big evening of evenings LALATE with huge news tonight about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. The Wall Street concerns grow as the inflationary numbers softened today. A major new report released that showed the inflationary numbers softening 4.9% down year to date. All the latest details on that front tonight. Meantime, we turn to the housing sales numbers that came out today. Down 17% year to date. The housing market crash, the stock market crash, the concerns about where we're going amplified with those auto sales that came in today. Down 24% year to date. In this recording from the shores of Santa Monica, California tonight, we'll go over the recession of 2023 and how it's going to happen so abruptly with a 90-day carnage being talked about tonight. The housing market crash of 2022. It's underway tonight, and new data tonight signals that the implosion is already upon us. Then we'll be looking at the stock market crash as retail sales rebounded this week. But that rebound was short-sighted. All the latest details in tonight's recording from the shores of Santa Monica, California. Meantime, of course, we're going over the bear market, what you need to know with this market. And of course, the great news for you in tonight's recording, those fourth stimulus checks in every U.S. state. In tonight's recording, we'll go over that incredible fourth stimulus checks in every U.S. state and how you get it. From the shores of the West Coast to the East Coast, yours truly has found a fourth stimulus check in every U.S. state, and I'm going to show you how to get it in tonight's recording. These are huge checks for you if you're single, if you're married, if you're on benefits, not on benefits, if you're low income, if you're middle class, if you rent, you own. I have a fourth stimulus check for you in every U.S. state, done by executive order by Joe Biden. Viewers back in March said, LA, find me some checks, and I did. Stay with me on this 1 hour broadcast. We're going to get checks, lots of them for you because you need them because of the looming recession. Step 1 is to subscribe to this channel. Step 2, get that membership link under the video and hit it. Become a member right tonight and get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And step 3, stay throughout this entire 1 hour broadcast because from the shores of Santa Monica, California tonight, I have big checks for you. It's America's most watched show in financial news for evenings. And all the big money, all the big checks I'm getting to you tonight starts right now. And good evening, everybody. Hope you're having a beautiful night, and thank you for joining me on a big weekend, a Memorial Day weekend. I'll be recording with you all weekend long because there is a lot of money and there is a lot of checks. A fourth stimulus check has landed in every U.S. state, and I'm going to show you how to get that huge check. Stay with me over this 1 hour broadcast. We're going to go over those big checks. Step 1 is to subscribe to this channel right now. Go under the video, hit that subscribe button. Step 2, become a member. Become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power Casino VIP. Join this channel because the stimulus stampede is less than 90 days away. Millions of Americans will be on this channel looking for checks. You want to get them tonight when they're available tonight. That fourth stimulus check in every U.S. state. How do you get it? It's coming up later in tonight's recording. But tonight we're going to start with the Build Back Better Act, the huge piece of legislation that will give you additional checks and its impact on your wallet. That is $15,000 to $80,000 of incredible checks in there being negotiated currently between two men, two senators, longtime friends. We're going to go over all the details of those checks starting right now. The Build Back Better Act is currently in the Senate, passed by the House, and the negotiations are underway between Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer, who say they're going to get it done in the next few weeks and get you those big sums of money. The provisions in there are 3 clusters and 3 add-ons that give you huge checks, $15,000 to $80,000 of them, on top of those 4 stimulus checks, which I'm getting you later in this recording. Now let's go over where I believe the provisions will survive and which ones will fall by the wayside during the negotiations between these two individuals. There's $25,000. There's $250 billion. There is lots of money. Let's first start with the overview. There's $15,000 to $80,000 of huge checks in this Build Back Better Act. The first add-on of checks is $25,000 for the purchase of your first home. Put in there via Maxine Waters. Will it likely survive? Yes, because this is a provision that is needed as the mortgage rates surge out of control. And Americans are having problems getting into the housing market as it's now pricing people out of it. That big provision, I think, is likely to survive. That is the first add-on in the Build Back Better Act. The second add-on, I do not think is going to survive. It's $250 billion of free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. One of the items that Joe Manchin made emphatically clear in 2021's negotiations is that any provision in Build Back Better that seeks to expand Medicare, he will oppose. And this is one of those type of provisions. So I believe this provision would fall by the wayside. The huge, wonderful provision I think that's going to survive is $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter, MSC, baby. 17 legislators have told thousands of viewers this channel over the last year that when it goes closer to a vote, they're adding in an MSC provision. MSC, $2,000 a month, $1,000 thereafter for up to 6 months for you. Single individual, $75,000 or less, you get it. Married couple, you get it. Double it. Family of 4, you get it as well. Quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, you get it as well. Now, let's go over the individual clusters of checks in the Build Back Better Act and whether they are likely to survive or whether they're likely not to survive. Will they get wiped out like the wave at issue in this camera, or will they survive the negotiations? The first provision, I think, will all those clusters of checks in there survive. It's a huge, wonderful provision, that first cluster, and it involves hazard pay. The hazard pay provision is a provision that makes sense for Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer. Expansion of the earned income tax credit, established under third stimulus, doing it one more year, yes. $4,000 to elderly care, $4,000 of care for young children, yes. Because so far it does not look like it expands Medicare. Nutrition, absolutely, that would survive. What about home repairs? Yes, that would survive. And then what about the nutrition? Yes, $12,500 for the purchase of a new electric vehicle. Yes, so long as it did not impact anything in the energy space. When we turn to that second cluster of checks, this is where we have casualties. I believe the paid leave would absolutely fall out. Why? Because Joe Manchin said he doesn't want it in there and he would vote against it. Paid leave is if you have to stay home from work due to sickness or illness. Joe Manchin originally had it gotten taken out, then Nancy Pelosi put it back in. When we go to that third cluster of checks, that's when you're going to see the real casualties. Free internet for all checks, yes, that would survive. Farmers checks, independent contractors, yes, those would survive. But everything for the seniors, not going to survive. Dental, going. Vision, going. Hearing, going. Lowering the eligibility age of Medicare from 65 to 55, not surviving. And then the Medicaid gap fix that provides a workaround plan in 12 Republican states, that's likely to survive because that was a plan provision done by Raphael Warnock and Joe Manchin. There is the Build Back Better Act, $15,000 to $80,000 incredible checks on top of those four stimulus checks that thousands, tens of thousands of viewers of this channel have gotten. Why? They've gotten by becoming a member, listening to the videos, getting that newsletter, and pouncing. How do you get your checks? And how do you get these huge checks up to $80,000? You stay lay with me in the video because they're coming up. Now, the Build Back Better Act is also getting the big push to this week as well because of those midterm elections, and specifically the Georgia Senate seat from Raphael Warnock, who we just went over. That Raphael Warnock seat is being pursued by Herschel Walker, who won the Republican nomination last week in that primary. And that is why the Build Back Better Act is likely to get done, because they want to retain control of the Senate, those Democrats. And that is why they want to get those checks out the door. Again, those incredible checks in the Build Back Better Act are on top of the four stimulus checks, which are in every U.S. state. So step 1, subscribe to this channel. Step 2, become a member, because later in this video, we're going to go over those four stimulus checks, which are in every U.S. state. You deserve them. Go get them right away. Now, in addition to those four stimulus checks, what else supports getting them out the door? What supports getting them out the door is bad economic data. And that bad economic data came in today, left and right. And I'm not talking about recession. I'm talking about everything from the housing market to the stock market crash and more. We're going to go over all those details one at a time, starting right now with what happened earlier today with those inflationary cooling numbers. Those inflationary cooling numbers today were a reprise after weeks of wondering how hot is this inflation. One of the big numbers that the Federal Reserve uses for gauging inflation was released early this Friday. And what do the numbers say? This is breaking news tonight on Evenings LA, of course. The number showed that the following benchmark, which is called the Core Personal Consumption Expenditure Price Index, rose at 4.9% in the month of April, down from the 5.2% rise the preceding month. This is a federal benchmark used by the Federal Reserve when determining policies for raising interest rates to battle inflation. So this shows that there may be some easing on the inflationary front, just a little bit. What's the analysis? Tom Martin, Senior Portfolio Manager at Global Investments Tonight, says, we're taking a breather here, and we have some adjustments to the market to allow for that. We have to come a long way pretty fast, and then the declines we may see, that's all needed. But this is as the consumer seems to have a barbell approach to spending. Low-end necessities and high-end expensive lines are doing really well, while general merchandise spending is being delayed, says Wells Fargo analyst Christopher Harvey tonight. What is he talking about? He's talking about what we've seen over this last week. What a week it was. We saw Dollar General and Dollar Tree beat on their corporate earnings, and their stocks going up 30%. Now, you would have thought that Target and Walmart would have reported the same. No, they were a major miss. They went down dramatically, down 40%. Then came Macy's and Nordstrom's, as if hand by hand, up 30%. What really happened here? What really happened when looking at the situation is that the Build Back Better Act has a lot of great bad news. Great bad news? Yes. When there's bad economic news, legislators want to give you money. And the bad economic news was trying to be explained out by a lot of people. Here's what I got to say to you. You can't explain it out. It's too confusing. The retail sales basically say to us, this consumer in the store, yeah, but we don't know their sentiments too much because the retailers had big supply disruption. When a retailer is putting in the store winter clothing in the month of April, and the consumer's looking and say, it's hot outside, I don't need winter clothing. You don't know if the consumer is not buying because the price is too high, because of inflation, because of consumer savings, or because it's the same, or because it's the darn wrong product. This is where it gets very complicated. And analysts are trying to analyze it, and I got to tell you, they can't. No one can analyze the consumer sentiment when it's the wrong product in the store. Hello, it's sort of obvious, but they're trying to do too much, too little. And this is after a week in which a lot of people saw a lot of things happening. But you were the best eyes and ears. Why? In last night's Evenings LA in the live chat, we saw really the viewership of this channel delivering the news, more than even I. I've always said, if you have an analyst in a beautiful $5 million oceanfront, lagoon-front Boca Raton mansion telling you, I got to tell you what's happening in the stores at Dollar General. Sarah, when was the last time you shopped at Dollar General? I don't have time to shop in Walmart. In fact, there is no Walmart in Rio Santa Monica, California. So the guy sitting in front of the surfboard tonight, I have no idea what's happening in Walmart. You do. You were in the live chat last night, and guess what you said? You said you saw less store merchants in the stores. You said you went in there, and in less than 2 weeks, you've seen less store merchants. You saw lots of your friends and neighbors being laid off. You saw less merchandise on the shelves, and you saw the price points still high. You're the eyes and ears. And this is why this is so important, because that basically signals what we talked about yesterday. The unemployment numbers at issue is really what gauges stimulus. And those unemployment numbers are very bad. Those unemployment numbers came in at 200,000 new jobless claims last Thursday, just 48 hours ago, 24 hours ago, and those numbers were not good. Why? Because we should not be at 200,000 new jobless claims now in the month of May. And that signals that people are in those big box retailers. As Walmart said, we have too many people on the store's floors. We're not selling the products. We got to do something. Do something means lay them off. And that is why those unemployment concerns are growing left and right. Now, here is where it gets fascinating tonight. When we go to our next data point that was released this Friday, this, of course, is breaking news as well. Auto sales are dramatically down. We learned again today. I've been telling you for 3 months that the auto industry is already in recession. As we are celebrating a beautiful Memorial Day weekend and support those people who fought for our countries, when you look at the auto sales numbers tonight, it's consistent with what I've been saying for 3 months. They are already in recession. The auto industry is on recession, but this is also signaling how one industry is really out to left field in their approach to the consumer and how they are going to get hit like a tsunami or a bad uncooked slate of bacon. What's happening with those auto sales numbers tonight? Folks, this is ridiculous. The numbers out of the auto sales tonight showed that the dealers in the last month reduced inventory, increased price, and tried to get a profit out of you at $5,000 a car compared to where they were a year ago at $1,000 a car. That is why these auto numbers you see on the screen are shocking. Auto sales are down year to date, down 24% in a new data point released tonight. This is brand new details tonight. This is as we do have confirmation that the scheme of the auto dealers industry was to reduce the number of cars on the showroom floor, reduce the number of cars on the lot, and increase the price so they would get $5,000 a profit a car, not $1,000 like a year ago. Did it work? It did not work. The consumer is not buying the cars. And that is why the auto sales is down 17%. They thought they could run that game with the consumer. This weekend, we also have big news as you are about to perhaps drive away. Not indefinitely, just drive away, just for an hour and then come back and watch the next show. Yes, people are on the drive for that Memorial Day weekend. So are they driving further, less, or is the impact of this economy really hitting them a lot? Well, we have data on that front tonight. The data on that front tonight is that people will be driving this Memorial Day weekend, but not as far. Auto sales are not only down because people don't want to spend the money on the cars and they're not going to price it out at those ridiculous prices. But here you go. With the price of gasoline, $4.55, $4.60 a gallon nationwide average, AAA, that is a 40% increase year to date. The analysts tonight say people are just not driving that far for Memorial Day weekend. I don't think as many people are going to hit the road, and if they do, a good portion will be to stay close at home, says Patrick DeHaan, head of petroleum analysis at Gas Buddy. There definitely should be a noticeable bump, but these higher prices are keeping people closer at home. It's the same story. It's the same story, one after another. And you know where the next story comes in? We're about to hit it. It is housing. In the housing market, here we go. The same narrative. Higher price, pass the price over to consumers. Will consumers buy? No, they won't. This is brand new data coming out tonight, folks, and let's look at it right tonight. Housing sales are down year to date 17%. Brand new data that came out tonight. This is economic metrics we've not heard before until this evening's recording. The Market Composite Index, which tracks mortgage purchases, shows that mortgages were bought less than 2% during the week of 2020. But here's the big number. The sales of new homes are at their lowest level, reported tonight, since the start of the pandemic, down this 17% year to date. YTD means year to date. And this is a result of a lot of things are hitting at the same point. As the interest rate on the 30-year mortgage has jumped from 3% to 5.5%, and there's 13% fewer homes for sale, and the number of home tours is down dramatically, down 20%. People are not looking because the price point is not an issue. What is going on all these fronts? What's going on all these fronts is that people are not pivoting. And the way you and I pivot very quickly is we get shacks. We pivot very quickly when situations change. And boy, folks, tonight, they are changing very dramatically. You thought that inflation and interest rates was one of the reasons to pivot. Then you thought that maybe the stock market is the reason to pivot. And then when we were worried about the growing interest rates or other items, we thought that item is the reason to pivot. But tonight, the reason we're pivoting is because a forced stimulus check is in every U.S. state. You need to get those forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state, and it starts tonight. It starts tonight by understanding this economy is going to leave people on the sideline. Those people who thought they could do the things of 2021 in 2022 aren't going to be able to pull it off. And it's not just for a stimulus check, it's for everything else. Let's use the case in point. Number one, People who do not understand that a fourth stimulus check is in every U.S. state and that you need to pounce and get those incredible checks tonight, and are talking about what it was happening with getting checks from third stimulus in 2021, are going to be left by the wayside. It's a different year. Things are done differently. If you're talking about the way you got a check in 2020, it's all different. Who's also talking about things outdated? Auto sales, thinking that they can keep those price points really high in 2022 and reduce the inventory, and then you'll pay overpriced for a car. It's not going to happen anymore. People think they can keep the price of the houses even higher as the lumber costs go higher and the labor prices for construction of homes go higher. No, it ain't working. That's why the housing is down 17%. And this is what's happening across the board. People that are not pivoting are really being hit. We learned that in the last week. That is the stock market crash of 2022. It started with corporations that could not manage inventory. They could not manage the inventory because it was coming too late, it's out of season, or it's not in the sentiment of what the consumer wants. We saw this last week when Dick's Sporting Goods thought that the consumer was hiking in 2022 as much as they hiked in 2021. Not the case. You're back at work. You're not hiking 4 hours a day. You're back in the work 4 hours a day. That is why Macy's and Nordstrom's sales numbers and revenue numbers reporting corporate earnings for Q1 released this week were through the roof. Through the roof. They understood that people were going back to work. They pivoted and they got those people in the stores and they got them buying. So when people do not pivot, they get left behind. Stock market crash of 2022, yes. What's at issue tonight is that the stocks have a long way down to go. That any analyst that tells you we are at the bottom is not telling you the complete story. The stocks are in a bear market tonight, and that bear market sends stocks down 20% on average. Yes, we're already down 20%. But if we go into recession, we're down 47 to 48%. That is why people need to pivot. Number one. Number two, when we look to the housing market crash currently underway, in my opinion, is signaling that the home builders have not pivoted. They've kept the price point higher, reduced the inventory, and it's not selling. Number three, when you look at the recessionary pressures of 2023 coming around the horizon, 81% of Americans believe we're going to recession in just later this year. They don't even think it's next year. They think it's later this year. You know what that does to consumer sentiment. You know what that does to consumer sentiment, because if people think that we're going in a recession, they ain't going to spend. They ain't going to buy. And that is why things are changing so quickly and so dramatically across the board. And so what does that mean for you? What that means tonight is that you gotta get that fourth stimulus check. That is in every U.S. state. I love the viewership of this channel because in March, you looked at me and said, LA, go give me a check. I need a check. That Build Back Better Act is not happening just yet. I need a check. I can't wait any longer for these negotiations. Can you go get me a check? And I did. That is what this channel does. If you're new to watching LA, welcome. I go over where this economy is, where this economy is going. But when it comes to stimulus checks, I'm not here to report news of checks. I'm here to get you checks. There's a whole different element to that. A person just reports the news of checks, tells you it after the fact. The person who goes out and gets the checks, finds the checks, says, here's the checks, that's totally different. That's how I did it on day one. That's the way I'm doing it today. Four stimulus checks back in March, not sent out by Congress, so I had to look high and low. And where did I find it? By executive order from Joseph Biden, a series of checks, which I immediately delivered to the membership of my viewership of this channel. I don't care what broadcast media says. I don't care what print media says. Anyone that goes to a search engine is really wasting their time. I'm here for you. I'm here to make sure you have checks. Lots of them, right away, right this moment. I'm not here to run someone else's newspaper or someone else's cable channel. I'm here to get money and get it in your wallet. And it starts with check A, B, and C. Over those weeks, starting in March, I found a series of checks done by executive order by Joseph Biden and immediately delivered them in the recordings of this channel. And the great news is those checks are still there. But you see this graphic on air, recession 2023, 2024, brand new details on that front tonight. A new report being circled in Silicon Valley uses the following word, carnage. Carnage. It's describing the state of this U.S. economy with the same time horizon, which I've been talking about in the last month, 90 days. They're all talking about 90 days from now. You're going to see carnage. Financial, economic, corporate, small mom and pop, low income, major financial carnage. And I gotta tell you, I'm not surprised they're using such strong words because it's been a week like this where I've seen some really, really ridiculousness. I've seen some bad ridiculousness from corporate earnings, from corporate guidance, and also from analysts saying things that make no sense. And that is why I lay it in thick with you when I say, I want you to get a four stimulus check in every U.S. state. I don't want you to wait around. If they are true and correct, which I believe they are, that there will be carnage 90 days out from here in the financial markets, in the social markets, in the basics of mom and pop to low-income households, you need to get those four stimulus checks in every U.S. state. So how do you get them? They're coming up after the commercial break. Those four stimulus checks are in every U.S. state, and what you need to know is that you qualify for them. Single individual, $75,000 or less? Yes. Married couple, $150,000 or less? Yes. How do you get them? Very simply. Step 1, subscribe to this channel. Step 2, become a member. The membership link's in the video. Join right now, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. And then get that newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via the YouTube alert system. How do you get these four stimulus checks in every U.S. state? Stay with me. They're coming up after the commercial break over this 1 hour broadcast. I got a lot of checks to go over with you that you need to get right now before that quote unquote carnage comes 90 days out. Now, amidst all this, we did have some breaking news tonight, and the breaking news again was confirmation of my reporting. There's a lot of things I reported over the last year that I've come right and correct on, and it's usually the economic data or it's generally negotiations of stimulus. Tonight, it's actually both of them. Okay, so let's go it on. In the last year, I predicted that inflation was going to come in at 8% in December 2021 and not be temporary, not be transitory, would sustain at 8%. That happened last night. Then I said that inflation is going to fall down to 4% later this year, not to 2%. That was confirmed the day before. Moreover, the GDP. I said the gross national product of the U.S. economy would drop to around 0% later this year. That was confirmed midweek this week at 1 to 2% by the start of next year. But when we turn to student loan debt forgiveness, this one was right on the money. Student loan debt forgiveness, as I've been predicting the last 2 weeks, came to a head tonight. And it came in exactly from both sides of the equation as I had been predicting. First, over the last month, I said the President of the United States was going to forgive $10,000 of student loan debt forgiveness. I said, that's the magic number. In fact, I may have even been saying it for almost 2 months. I said, that's the magic number, but he's not saying the number yet. Then, early this week, actually last weekend, I said he was meeting with advocates for student loan debt forgiveness, and he was going to tell them $10,000, and they were not going to be happy. Then I also said he may not make a formal announcement about the $10,000 to the public in public eye, rather just behind closed doors with the advocates, because there's a big tension at issue about the number. Tonight, every single thing that I was reporting about behind the scenes negotiations is confirmed in a new publication. And a new publication by a major news outlet. It says tonight that the president did meet with advocates for student loan debt forgiveness this week, number one. Number two, they advocated for it to get done this week. Number three, and he said, I have an offer to get it done this week, $10,000. Right on the money. I told you they were not going to be happy with the number and they were going to push back. And he was not going to go publicly with the number. That is exactly what happened, says the report. The president reportedly told the $10,000 number to them, and they said it's a slap in the face. They also started protesting publicly. The average amount of student loan debt carrying tonight is about $30,000. These advocates said the president must forgive $50,000 or more. Let's rewind. During his run for president of the United States, the president always said $10,000. He specifically said not $50,000. Liz Warren and Chuck Schumer said do $50,000 at least. And Liz Warren had said the reason to do it is because debts were procured by fraud by the university against the students. Clearly, Joe Biden was listening to Liz Warren because he forgave those debts completely a few weeks ago. The president forgave Liz Warren's debts procured by fraud 100% over several weeks ago. He also forgave the debts that were for individuals who became disabled after graduation, went to work in the nonprofit or public sector after graduation, and then put your debts that were in default in good standing. Tonight, what does the report say about the offer from the president rejected by those advocates? The offer reportedly is $10,000 for individuals who make $150,000 single per year or less, or for a married couple who make $300,000 or less per year. Let's say that again. $10,000 of student loan debt forgiveness is the offer. It's not a formal one. It hasn't been accepted. It's not a law. It's just a negotiated proposal for individuals who make $150,000 or less, or families that make $300,000 or less. And with that, another story confirmed by my reporting on this channel. Let's go to those big four stimulus checks in every U.S. state. It was back in March where viewers said, LA, I need a check. Do you got a check for me? This Build Back Better Act is not getting done in March. I need a check. They knew this is what I do. This is what I've been doing since day one. When this channel launched in April 2020, people were losing their jobs, about to lose their homes, about to lose their businesses. I had every person's specific narrative told to me in private message or social media, or I'm posting somewhere else, and I ran it on camera. I said, we got to help all of these people. I showed them how to get an EIDL, an FPUC, a PUA, UI, an LWA. And when we were waiting for those negotiations, the second stimulus to get done between Nancy Pelosi and Steve Mnuchin, and they were not done, you needed checks. So I got you $250,000 in December 2020. This is for rent and utilities and mortgage and more. $50 million I got viewers in those first few months of this channel, and the months there followed thereafter. But as Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine in March, you needed big money. And you said, LA, can you go get me some checks? And I did. And slowly and quickly, I got checks one after another. $6,500 on March 31st, $80,000 on March 4th, $24,000 as an MSC just a week or two later. And in the second half of this video, we're going to go over these incredible checks in every U.S. state. You deserve these checks, and you're going to get them. Step one, get every check available. By 1, subscribing. 2, becoming a member. 3, getting that newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system, and staying with me throughout this entire broadcast, because we're going to be going over these 4 stimulus checks, how you get them, how you cash them, how they land by direct deposit, all in the second half. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, we're just getting started. We'll be getting those big checks, plus we have other big financial news as well that impacts your wallet coming up after the commercial break. But first, here's a little bit about the members community page, as America's most watched show for financial news continues on evenings. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on a big evenings LA from the shores of Santa Monica, California. Good evening as the news continues. A 4 stimulus check has landed in every U.S. state, and in the second half, we're going to go over that big check and how you get it. It starts with the very simple notion of you need to move to groove. You need to move to groove, and how do you do it? we're going to go over the great details of how to move to groove in this big second half, starting right now. A forced stimulus check is now in every U.S. state, and you're not going to see this anywhere else, and I'm going to go over a little bit more about this starting right now. It's very difficult for some people to divest themselves of the past, but this, my friends, is May 2022. This is not 2020. So don't tell me you did something in 2020 or the way you did something in 2021. This U.S. economy is changing very dramatically in just the last few weeks from March. This is the way you do things right now. Number one. Number two, I'm not here to record for people who read a newspaper or watch their local news or go to a search engine for news, God forbid. I'm for people who want to get checks. And in March, you said, can you find me checks? And that's what I do. I get people checks. I don't report the news of checks. It's very, very different. I'm going to give you an example just to start. When the pandemic started, did you know that you may have qualified for a $10,000 check? If you were a small business owner or had a side hustle or mowed lawns or delivered newspapers, yes, it's called the EIDL grant. Do you know that if you did that plus you're an Uber Lyft driver and you also had a catering job on the side, you could have gotten three $10,000 checks? You didn't know that. You probably didn't know that. That's what I made recordings on at the time. How do you get these checks? That is not reporting the news of checks landing. That's showing people how to get the checks. It's very, very different across the board. That is what I do on this channel. I show you how to get checks, not to report the news of checks that have already landed, that have already been a news story weeks earlier. This is the scope of where we are tonight. A forced stimulus check was available in March of this year, and I found it. Then I found another one. Then I found another one. And I continue to look for them for you. This is the result of hours of research. As you said, LA, can you find me a forced stimulus check? And I didn't find one. I didn't find two. I found several of them. And let's go over those forced stimulus checks, how you can get them right now. I'm going to show you how we are a channel today, as we've did since day one, on getting checks, not just reporting on checks. All right, it starts with understanding that you qualify. Eligibility is one of the most important things when we're talking about checks. And one viewer last night on the E! News LA show in the live chat, her name is Kat, said, LA, you've done such a great job always talking about eligibility because it's one of the most important things when talking about checks. If you're single individual, 75,000 less annual income, yes. Married couple, 150,000 less annual income, yes. If you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, yes. If you rent, yes. If you own, yes. If you're with children, without children, yes and yes. And here we go. Let's get those checks now that we understand the eligibility. The first check is $6,500 to $12,000. You heard me right. Not $1,200, $12,000. I don't play games here. I'm here to get you big checks so you're financially independent for weeks at a time, maybe months at a time. And that first forced stimulus check in every U.S. state, each of them goes by a lettering system, which I've assigned them on this channel. The first one is Check A. It's a $6,500 to $12,000 forced stimulus check. The eligibility we just went over, but let's repeat again. Single individual, 75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, 150,000 less, go get it. If you are single, if you are on SSI, SSDI, veterans benefits, go get it. It's called the Homeowners Weatherizer Grant. And how do you get it? Very simply. Step 1, subscribe to this channel. Step 2, become a member. The membership link is under the video where it says join the channel. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Welcome to all the hundreds of people who become members daily. Become a member right now, like all the other people in the live chat that have a beautiful emoji of a Purple Hawk behind their name. And then step 3, get the membership newsletter. The membership newsletter is delivered Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, written by me personally. In there it has the links to go in and get these checks. Yes, you're not going to see this anywhere else in print or broadcast or cable news. They don't care about you. They have never cared about you. They never will care about you. They don't care to get you money. They care to make themselves money. My financial focus is on your financial livelihood. And my focus is that you are financially independent and financially freedom, and that you find that financial freedom by getting checks when they're available. So how do you get that big financial freedom? You start by subscribing, becoming a member, and going right down in that newsletter to getting that first check. You go right in that membership newsletter, go down to Check A. So simple. Go right down to check A, and there it is. You click the link and you will go apply. Yes, in the membership newsletter is a link to go right into check A. You apply. Get it. This is what I want you to do. This is why I fight so hard for you to get these checks. And you do so well. Congratulations to all the thousands of viewers who have listened and learned from this channel since day one all the way up to the present and in the last few weeks as well, getting massive checks from these forced stimulus checks. But you're not going to stop there. You're going to go get Check B as well. Check B is a $15,000 to $80,000 forced stimulus check. It is called the Homeowners Grant Check. Single individual, $75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, go get it. How do you get this one? Same way. Subscribe, then become a member. Then go right down that membership newsletter, down to Check B, and there you find it. And you, in the membership newsletter, click on Check B. It sends you into the nationwide website, and you apply. And the average viewer is getting about $66,000 to $80,000. You're not done there yet because you're going to go get Check C. Yes, this is for my renters and my homeowners. MSC, baby. $2,000 a month for 12 months. Direct deposit is the way it's currently paid for an average viewer of this channel. These sums of money are great. How do you get that Check C? You know the routine. Subscribe to this channel, become a member, and then open that membership newsletter and go down to Check C. At the case of Check C, you're not going to apply online. You're making phone calls. You're contacting 15 plus spaces. In the newsletter, I tell you where to call, who to say, and what to say. And there you go. Check C is what I was talking about earlier in this video when I was describing the fortitude of the viewership of this channel to find checks in December 2020. Viewers turned to me and said, LA, can you find me some checks? I found them checks. It was before we had third stimulus. It was just a little bit of checks here and there. But when third stimulus became law, this is what happened. Those checks were expanded because third stimulus had a lot of this money. And this is the money that I showed viewers how to go and get. I teach viewers how to go get checks. I didn't report that there was rent money in the third stimulus. That would be a lazy video for a lazy broadcaster report. There's third stimulus, rent checks. Okay, good. What does that mean? Doesn't mean anything. I showed viewers how to go get the rent in the third stimulus, which is a whole different type of recording than standing in front of a blank screen and reading something about what's in the bill. And this is what happened for the rent. This is what happened for the utilities. This is what happened with the SNAP. This is what happened with the combos. And guess what happened with the combos? They went even higher. Nisi, bless her soul, the most wonderful viewer, longtime viewer, keeps on going back and getting checks because that is what you do as a Purple Hawk on this channel, a proud viewer of this channel. You keep on going back in checks. She's gotten $8,000 several times this year. She's over $50,000. There's Mark. He did the same thing as Nisi. $32,000, then to $50,000, then to $100,000. Now is at $166,000 because he got Check B. Here's Lorraine. She was at 105. Now she's at 120. Again, how do you get that Check C? How do you get these massive sums of money that countless thousands, tens of thousands of viewers have gotten over the last 2 years? You get these forced stimulus checks now whenever you stay. Subscribe to this channel and get that incredible newsletter. Let me go over some other things to go over with you, which people say are really helping. They're brand new this week as well. First, don't forget to subscribe. It's sort of obvious. You got to subscribe, not just become a member. Yes, become a member and subscribe. Next, there's a little bell at the front of this channel. Hit that bell and ring my bell. Yeah, that's another song. Ring my bell. And when you hit that bell, make sure it's set to all notifications. All notifications, because that way you get all notifications like the newsletter. The news cycle is currently changing very dramatically across the board, so that will ensure that you don't miss any breaking news at any moment. Third, get that membership newsletter and go right into the membership newsletter. Now, how to watch for the membership newsletter? Here you go. You will get alerts from YouTube on a regular basis. Look for that one that comes at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday. It'll have a title to it, like New LALATE Post. The one at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time says New as Newsletter. It'll say newsletter with a couple of emojis of a mailbox. And lower on it, boop, there'll say click to see the link, the post. Click to see the post. The post is actually the newsletter. Now, here's where it gets great. Viewers say, LA, that video you made is so helpful. What is that video? I made a video a few weeks ago, but I started really talking about it a lot this last few days. That is a how-to help video on how the newsletter works, where to rise, how to use it, how to find it, where it's located, how to open it, where you manipulate it. How do you get that video? Send me a private message on Facebook at facebook.com/LALATE news. And I'll send you a copy of that video, which is currently posted on YouTube, so you can watch it. And viewers say it is so helpful across the board. And God bless all of you who have really listened and learned and gotten all these incredible checks. Now, those words coming out of Silicon Valley today are an amplified version of what I've been saying on this channel for several months. I've been saying 90 days out from now, it's going to be different. It's going to be very different. I've been calling it stimulus stampede on this channel. The word carnage is a very scary word, but that's what financial analysts are saying. Carnage is basically saying that people are going to get hit really badly by this economy. A stimulus stampede is referring to the backside of it, which is people are going to lose their jobs. People are going to see their asset values go down. People are going to have less consumer savings. People are not going to be able to afford the higher price of goods and gasoline and bread. And they're going to be on this channel saying, do you have a stimulus check for me? And I do, but I don't know how long. I don't know how long. One thing I will never be able to do on this channel is know how much money is in the bank accounts of the agencies. I'll never know how much is in the states or the federal government. And when they're going to run out, I just don't know. And that's why I need you to get the money available today. Even if you're not in that bad a financial circumstance, if you qualify, go get it. Go get it right now. Do not wait. Do not wait a minute to become a member and pounce and get that money. And then when you get some money, go get some more. And continue to get money over and over again. Go right in, get your application on file. Make those 15 phone calls for checks. See, get this money right today. I know this is 2022. I know this is changing very quickly and very dramatically, but it's going to get a lot worse. Number one, reasons why we know this economy is going to get a lot worse are so many items around us. Number one, we know the price of gasoline is going to go up much higher. Absolutely going to go up much higher. We do not have an inherent solution yet done by any of the Western allies. We have that talk of six stimulus covered in last night's evening's LALATE, where they're going to try to collectively ban the Russian oil, but they still don't have a solution because 2.5 million barrels are missing per day between Russia and OPEC. Number two, we do not have an inherent solution for the issue of the wheat and the grain, as those items are no longer available in the food chain. They come from that area of Russia that are now in a battle zone. And so those items continue to surge across the board. We already know that the interest rates will continue to surge. Jay Powell will be continuing to raise those interest rates. As I just reported last night, he's going to do, in my opinion, the following on those interest rates. He's going to do, to battle inflation, a half basis point increase in the June FOMC meeting, then the July another half, and then probably a quarter in the August. Bear market, yes. But what I'm talking about with the inflation I'm worried for you is the out of control interest rates. If you have any flexible interest rate instrument like credit card debt, you're going to get hit really badly. We're not only talking about mortgage rates, we're talking about flexible interest rates, anything that you see that moving interest rate burden upon you, you're going to get hit really badly. That is the next part of the equation. Then, of course, the recession. The recession is a two-prong approach, almost a three-prong approach. What's at issue? First, we have what will go into recession, how it'll go into recession, and how abruptly or how suddenly the fall from grace will happen. This is something I want to detail a little bit more clear tonight because I don't think I've ever done it really before on this channel. When we talk about the fall into recession, it is not going to be the same drop across the board. The recession that's going to hit in this economy will certainly hit certain industries before other industries. And then it'll also hit certain parts of this U.S. economy and global and geopolitical and geographical parts of this country at different times. Here's what you need to know tonight. The auto industry, already in recession. The housing market crash of 2022, already underway, already in recession. The stock market crash of 2022. I know the word crash sounds very austere, but I think that their recession at least for the stock market, which is currently in a bear market, which is very different than a recession, will be a little bit slower. It'll be eased into it because I think a lot of people are very smart about what's going on with stocks at the moment. Housing and auto is an example of people that are really not looking at the situation right. Can you imagine that auto salespeople who in 2021 understood that people had a lot of saved up savings, had still some stimulus in the bank, still had some big unemployment benefits in the bank account, and were, bored about staying at home, went out and bought cars. 2021, a lot of cars are sold. In 2022, guess what they're doing? Thinking that they're still going to sell the same amount of cars, thinking that you're still going to pay the same price point. And what did they do? Raise the price of cars and decrease the inventory and try to give themselves a bigger profit. That's exactly why that industry is going to recession. That is not pivoting. That is wrong approach to the situation. Number two, housing. Increasing the price because of lumber, you have to. Increasing, or you don't actually have to, you could absorb the cost, but increasing the price of the house because of lumber, increasing the price because your subconscious are asking you more money rather than absorb it, and then hoping the consumer is going to show up and buy the home with a higher mortgage rate that's absolutely unbearable. No one can afford a 5.5% mortgage rate and think you're going to sell the home. Of course not. No one's going to buy the home at a higher price point with a 5.5% mortgage rate. And that is where that is going to go bang. I mean, you can hear the implosion of it happening. 90 days out, yes, that's a very consistent theme you're hearing across the board, moreover, every day. That is why it's so important for you to get every check at issue. Finally, my takeaway tonight, a lot of things that I have commentary on tonight. Let's see if we can hit them without offending so many people. Lobster shorts need to be outlawed. Okay, I'm done. See you tomorrow. No, I have a little bit more to say than that. First, the student loan debt forgiveness. The numbers for the income has really angered some people, and I don't so agree with them. If you are a married couple and you're making $300,000 a year, and the average student loan debt is $30,000, and you don't want to pay off $30,000 when you're making $300,000 a year and you're complaining about it, it's a little bit hard for me to digest. I don't get it. You're making $300,000 of a married couple and you don't want to pay off a $30,000 average student loan debt. That doesn't make any sense to me. Now, the next part of the equation is individuals who think that the way you got a check in 2021 is the way you should get a check in 2022. I can only say this so many times. It's such ridiculousness. People who got a stimulus check of $1,200 or $600 or whatever it is in 2021 and want to say that you should get paid this $80,000 check in 2022 from this channel the same way is ridiculous. Do you think that you should get a $600 check paid to you the same way an $80,000 check is paid for you? No, not everyone qualifies for an $80,000 check. Next, it's a lot of people are forgetting that the Build Back Better Act has a lot of provisions in there with great checks, but it's not a blanket of checks. I mean, you have to qualify for all these respective checks in the Build Back Better Act. That's why it's nearly tailored for people with children, for people who want to buy a car, for people with seniors on who need hearing or vision or dental. Yeah, there's a lot of checks in Build Back Better Act, but for the specific purposes, for people who just think that $80,000 of checks should just land in people's bank accounts, that's not happening. It never has happened across the board. Finally, first stimulus versus fourth stimulus. I just have to laugh. I really have to laugh. I mean, it's just sort of ridiculous. Some people seem to not want to remember what happened with first stimulus, and only when talking about fourth stimulus want to talk about third stimulus. Hello. First stimulus. EIDL grant, EIDL loan, PUA, PPP, LWA, FPUC. It all required you to move to groove. It all required you to move to groove. And if you didn't move to groove, you didn't get any money. When you had 3 side hustles in 2020, and I explained to you how you get 3 different $10,000 checks for the EIDL grant, that required some moving to grooving. No one was going to send you $30,000 because they don't really know you had 3 different businesses. It required some moving to grooving. Moreover, if you were if you were unemployed as an Uber or Lyft driver, but also worked in a department store, could you get both of the sums of money and which one goes where and what do you call this one and what do you call that one? That all is moving to grooving. People don't want to move to Groove. People just want to sit back and say, hey, give me $80,000 in my bank account today. Has the federal government ever given you $80,000? No, they'll give you $600. They'll give you $600 and say, call it a day. I'll see you back in 2 years from now. This is the difference of this channel. This is the difference of you. This is the difference of the Purple Power community. I get people, 1, big checks. 2, I find the checks. 3, I don't care what broadcast, print, and cable news reports. They're just reporting. They're not getting you checks. They're not emotionally invested in your money. They're not emotionally invested that you succeed. They don't even know you. They just sit there and say, this is what happened at the offices of Joe Manchin today. This is what happened in the offices of Chuck Schumer today. Boring. Are they getting a check? No. Are they carrying away to get a check? No. Is there checks out there and they don't care to report on them? Absolutely. They don't care to report on them. They rather talk about stuff that they think is easier. Like what Elon said about Doge or what Nancy said about, hairstyles. I'm not covering that. I'll leave that for another video. They don't invest in your future. That is why this channel will always be its uniqueness. This is why you will always be unique as well. We are a unique community in which we fight together. For every check, I show you where the checks are. You get the checks. I go over how to get the checks. I answer your questions. I give you informational videos. I show you how to get these things. This ain't a reporting channel when it comes to checks. This is a channel to catch the checks. This is a channel that gets the checks for you. Thank you for asking me in March of this year to go get you checks. I was proud I did that effort. And I continue to do that every night on this channel. Join me next as we continue the night programming. And remember, stay with every video throughout the day. There's a lot of moving equations. And if I could have one of those other cameras like they have on the Cookie channel where it takes a shot of the falafels below me, I would show you the smorgasbord of notes just from today's recordings. We start before sunrise at 3 and 3:30 a.m. I look forward to seeing you then. Then early mornings LA at 4 a.m. A very popular show the last few days. Thank you for watching it. That's early mornings LA at 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Mornings LA at 9. Then we have at the beautiful 11 a.m. home. Afternoons LA at 1 o'clock, afternoons LA at 3 o'clock. Then we have Evenings LA, of course, the most watched show for financial news in prime time every night at 5 o'clock. Evenings, Countdown at 6, Street and Stimulus at 7, Extra at 8, Sunset at 9, and then our overnight shows continue as well. And then don't ever miss that LATE Live, which airs every night at approximately 6 o'clock p.m. And with that, from the shores of Santa Monica, California, to the shores of everywhere across the Memorial Day weekend, thank you. I'll be with you all weekend long recording new videos, so stay with me. I will be here. Maybe a little bit more tanned. But I will be here. Get all your deliciousness ready, and we will have some fun, laughs, and big money. Step 1, subscribe to this channel. Step 2, get that membership link signed up right now. And step 3, go get some money. Go get that money and get those applications. Remember, applications are open on the weekend, and they're open on holidays. Applications websites are always open. Go get them right tonight. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, good evening. Have a beautiful night. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.